So our project today is going to be rehabbing this grass. This is going to be a new project for us because we're used to a mix of Kentucky blue and rye. There's not Bermuda grass in the climate that we've lived in. So this will be a fun test for us to see what we can do. Also, we're just renting here. This isn't our own property, so it's not like we want to pour a ton of money into rehabbing this, and we wouldn't do the same things if it was our own, and like we did to our own at home where you saw our green carpet grass. But we're good at lawn care. We love it. That's what we've done professionally, with Lemon Branch. That's why we have this channel. So we have a new challenge and we're going to get started on this right away. First of all, first things first, we're going to plan on trimming. So weed eating, of course, making a nice clean edge. That'll clean that up. So the first thing is, like I was saying, is to weed eat and cut a nice edge into everywhere. Then of course to get it mowed, and then to also dig the weeds out, like the big weeds are going to come out. Dig all the dead out of the shrubs and bushes, and then we'll see what we're going to do to get this to thicken back up again and grow back into grass rather than weeds. So one thing we know for sure is we know that there's Bermuda grass here, so that's a little bit different. But we'd like to try, we've looked around at all the grasses here when we've traveled here before, as well as on our walk this morning. So want to try to get this thickened up and into a better grass rather than just so much dead and weeds. So we'll see what the choices are out there, but probably in our experience, a blend of Bermuda and Kentucky rye. We'll see what we can find and what the recommendation is. So the other thing that needs to happen here today is power spraying this patio and front porch area. So we knew this when we came here to look at it, but there's like bird droppings all over the place and it's a mess because there was a nest up there. So this all needs to be cleaned off. Bird droppings on the columns, everything. So we'll move the furniture, move the planters. The furniture's covering up a lot of it, but it's ew. So gonna get that cleaned up. So the other thing that you can do to easily and no cost at all make things look nice and crisp and clean is get rid of weeds. So gonna get rid of these weeds today. Gonna dig those out. Get rid of all of that and get rid of the weeds in the planter boxes. Cut the dead back from the bushes. And get it mowed, and that will look a lot cleaner. All right, so this is the results of our power spraying. So we've got everything washed off in terms of our furniture, my planters, got the joggle board back out here, the chairs, and I'll show you. So they power sprayed off the chairs, the planters, washed off the hardware on the door, and then all of the bird droppings you can see and everything up there. Look how great that turned out on above the window, on the siding, and then look how much cleaner it is down here on this front patio. So that's a huge improvement. Power spraying worked great. We have our work cut out for us on this lawn. There's a lot of things happening in here before we can even get to the trimming and the mowing. So what I'm working on are, we need to dig out these kind of weeds. We also need to dig out the clover weeds. We also need to dig out these kind of big weeds. They're There's more weeds in here than lawn at the moment. So we have got a big project to get this out and cleaned up. Even if we didn't put anything else on, like seed or fertilizer or anything, this lawn will never get better if we don't first get like the main massive weeds out. So that's the first order of project, is to get the weeds out. So not only do we have a bunch of weeds, clover, broadleaf, overgrowth in the grass, but these bushes here are totally overgrown and misshapen. So for example, we're going to cut the rose bush back here, and one thing, it's overgrown out across the border and over into the grass. So we need to cut it back behind the grass and back into the flower bed that it's supposed to be in. The other thing that we need to do is it hasn't been pruned for all of the blooms. And we want it to continue to bloom and bloom again. So what we need to do is cut back on where it has bloomed, so that it will continue to grow. The more you cut it back after it has bloomed, then it will continue to grow and bloom again. So I'm cutting right back down, typically by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaf, right above the 5 leaf stem, and then it will grow back fuller again with more blooms. Okay, so I'll work on this and I'll show you my end result. All right, these particular bushes too are totally like misshapen, overgrown, falling into the grass. So if we cut them back and prune them, you can see I've got a good start on this one right here. They will grow more uniformly, more evenly. They'll fill in and get thicker and bushier, rather than get all stringy and weird overgrowth. So all I'm doing is pruning these back to a nice shape. Going to prune it back over the curb so that it's not hanging over onto the grass. I'm going to get them all shaped so that they'll continue to grow back thicker and fill in a nice shaped bush. The other thing that I'm doing is cutting the rose bush back off of the condenser, because that's the last thing we want, is bushes in parts and pieces of the house that would cause problems or issues. So we just need to cut it back away from that, from the AC unit, and then also on those bushes over there that I was working on, just away from any of the pipes or plumbing or anything that could cause a problem and have things stuck or not working. The progress we've made on the park strip over here today. We don't have all the weeds out. There's still a lot of dead, but we made good progress getting at least an edge in, cutting back shrubs off of things like the AC unit, getting them shaped, dead cut out and dead cut back, and making a nice even line. And just general overall nice even cut, nice even mow on everything instead of overgrown weeds everywhere. We have a lot more weeding to do, but that will come, and we'll try and promote the grass growth as we continue to take care of it rather than the weed growth. So you can see how much cleaner that looks. Right, here's what it looks like from the front out. We've got everything mowed, trimmed, pruned. We have plenty of work to do out here on the park strip with the grass that has died during the summer and obviously no water.
Okay, we are looking at grass seed. So we're looking at some options that you would have in the south, particularly in Tennessee, some of the southern states. So there's a couple ways that you can do grass seed. Grass seed can come either by itself, or it can come like this right here that has like a seed fertilizer and a soil improver. What's nice about these bags is it takes a lot of the guesswork out. So when you go to put down grass seed, if you're going to do some fertilizing along with it, you have to be very careful not to put anything that has like a weed killer or a preventative in it. Anything like that will actually counteract the seed. So when you're looking at grass seed, sometimes it's easier just to look at a combination like this that has the 3-in-1. You know that it's safe to already have the seed fertilizer and then a soil conditioner or soil improver. It's already all together. But let's say you have a huge area to do. The area, this is only going to do just a small area. Like this right here covers 1,200 square feet. Well, if you have a lot more area than that, then what you want to do is look at getting bigger bags. Obviously, if you buy all 3 of them together, it can be a little bit more pricey. This one here, that same Scott's Thicker Lawn 3-in-1, it covers 4,000 square feet. This one, just pay attention because this one is just straight Bermuda grass. But it also comes in a tall fescue. So right next to it is the tall fescue. So depending on the kind of grass seed that you want to put down, just pay attention to what it'll tell you. But let's look at some other options, because this is just the 3-in-1. Obviously, very easy because everything's done for you. But let's come walk down here, because if we want to just get just grass seed, so it's a little bit bigger bag. This will do a lot bigger area. And so then you could just supplement it with just some other fertilizer that's just like a basic fertilizer. But these are just different options of, so that's like a Southern Gold mix. That one has probably a little bit different type of grass seed in it than just the straight tall fescue. So a lot of times I recommend getting a blend, because when one seed starts to struggle, the other one really will pick up and kind of pick up the slack, if you will. So anyway, grass seed, like I said, comes in a lot of different blends. It can come by itself. The other thing to pay attention to is whether it's a dense shade mix. So the dense shade is really nice if you have areas that are like underneath your trees. If you have a lot of tree areas, that will grow without hardly any sunlight. So you see it has 3 hours of sunlight. That's not very much sunlight. So this dense shade mix is really good for the shaded areas. Let's take a look at some of these other ones. This is really nice too. If you're gonna, they call this a seed starter. So you can put the seed down, throw this on, because it holds seeds in place on whether you have a hill or a slope. So that's a really good thing to put down if you have areas where you're worried that the seed is gonna wash away when it gets watered. And obviously there's a lot of different brands of these different grass seed. So that's more tall fescue. This Kentucky 31, this here I think is all some sort of a fescue. This is tall fescue as well. Yeah, so that's like a tall fescue. This is really good for the southern southern climate. Yeah, so this is another example of like a 3-in-1. This is a really good mix also that has your combination of mulch, seed, and fertilizer. This is obviously for a small area. So say you just have a brown patch like this, and you just want to patch this area. This is something that you would want to look at for that. This one comes in obviously dense shade, or you can get some that are for more of your sunshade mix. So just kind of pay attention to it. I think this one probably will say somewhere on this, fertilizer. This one is good for slopes and hills, evenly grows, blah, blah, blah. This one though says it's dense shade. This one's just straight Bermuda grass. This is your tall fescue. So those are gonna be good for your sunshade mix. The other option you have in the southern states is just doing straight ryegrass. So you could do some rye along with the tall fescue and the Bermuda. So you have kind of a 3 different types of grass. And a lot of times you're gonna end up getting the blend of all 3 of those in some of the yards anyway, because the seed just it just ends up blowing and getting into the same yard anyway. So like I said, sometimes I like having a blend, because when one's struggling, one does really well. Okay, as you know, we've been talking about this lawn a lot. This is after we've got it trimmed and and edged. You can see that there's a lot better edge to it. Unfortunately, this is really sad. So we were just talking about grass seed. We are going to try a combination of doing some tall fescue and doing some rye. And in some of these areas that it's really bare, I think we're going to try doing some of that patch stuff that we were talking about, looking at, as well as maybe doing some of that the mesh that goes over to hold the grass seed into place, because you can see there's just so much dead. Okay, so another way to plant grass here in the south, in the more humid climates, especially on slopes, and it doesn't matter if it's in the, I mean, this concept is going to be the same, it doesn't matter where you live, but you can see that what they've done is they've put grass seed down, and then they've put this plastic mesh. It's the same thing that sod farms do. If you've ever bought sod, you see the little plastic stuff underneath, and so what they've done is they've planted the grass and then they put this stuff all over the top of it, and that kind of helps hold the seed in while they're germinating. But it's hard to see down where we just were, but this is a little better up here where you put straw down. So you put the seed down, you put some straw down, and then it starts to come up and through. So this is a good example of how it's coming up through the plastic mesh and the straw. But that's kind of what it looks like as it's starting to grow in. So from afar, it's just nice and green, and it's starting to fill in. So, but that's another method on how to do grass seed, especially if you're doing a big open area and if you're working on slopes like this. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate you sticking it out to the end. Hopefully these are some helpful hints and you found some of this a little bit helpful. We'll keep you updated as time goes on, how things progress with this lawn, and maybe some of the process. We'll do another video of the process of how we actually apply the seed, how we recommend to do the seed. But anyway, thank you for watching. If you did like this, please give us a like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next video. Thanks again.